Good day, fellow Planeteers. Welcome back to another passport review. Today's focus is on Cyprus, an island nation that's located in Asia but for some reason became a member of the European Union. But this passport was issued way before the EU was even conceived, and naturally the cover is in blue, as opposed to the red EU Cyprus passport right now. In my opinion, I think this passport is better looking than the red EU one. The red one has a bunch of boomerangs on the cover for some reason. It's very disrespectful towards Australian Aborigines. Also on the cover are these two windows, one for the name of the bearer and one for the passport number. These windows are a common feature on some of the older passports. The purpose of this see-through design was to put the most important information out there, so that without turning the cover you can see right into the first page. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those crop tops that's got a window for the most important information as well. I wonder if the designer got the inspiration from these passports. What? Sorry? Where was I again? Oh yes, the design. Here's a French passport from the same period. As you can see, it's also got a window for the name and a window for the number. The same for the Cyprus... Oops, wait. It's not hollowed out. Huh. Well, I guess they are not the same after all. Wait, I got an idea. Let me try the British one. There you go. It's the same as the British passport, you see? It makes sense, since Cyprus was a British colony. Back in the 19th century, Russia was growing militarily and expanding into the territories of a weakening Ottoman Empire. The Sultan of the empire ceded Cyprus to Britain in exchange for British support in fighting against Russia. The deal had some strings attached, such as that Britain must come to the Ottoman Empire's aid when requested and Britain has to pay rent. These are pretty harsh conditions, but having control over Cyprus was extremely advantageous to Britain because the island is a strategic outpost en route from Britain to India via the Suez Canal. But 30 years later, when World War I broke out, Britain unilaterally declared annexation of Cyprus on the basis that the Ottoman Empire joined the Central Powers and Britain was with the Allied Powers. To simplify the story, it's like when you were in primary school, you had a friend who has always been jealous of your bicycle, so you told him, "Hey Tommy, I'd let you borrow my bike on the condition that if I got bullied, you come to help me as soon as possible on that bike. Also, you need to pay rent for it." And Tommy's like, "Yeah, sure." But then a couple years later, you guys went to different high schools and Tommy decided to just keep the bike for himself and stop paying you. That's the story of my mountain bike, Cyprus, in a nutshell. By the time of this passport, Cyprus had already gained independence. After some peaceful demonstrations, peaceful riots, and peaceful negotiations, Cyprus became a peaceful, independent country in 1960. But the Anglo influence was apparent since the passport uses the same format as the British one. In the center, you got the coat of arms, which is different than the one on modern Cyprus passports because for some reason they changed the design in 2006, but the change wasn't even that significant. However, as I look at the emblem on the passport, I realize that it doesn't look like either one of these. In fact, it doesn't look like any Cypriot logo that I can find online. The closest one I found was the logo of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, although there are still visible differences. So I'll leave it to my well-informed viewers, aka you. If you know where this logo is from, leave a comment. On the coat of arms, you see these two sticks on both right and left. The one on the left is called shish kebab, representing the ethnic Turks in the country. The one on the right is called souvlaki, representing the ethnic Greeks in the country. You might say, but they look exactly the same. Well, that's the point. Just like the three people groups in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the two ethnic groups in Cyprus love to spend their days looking for differences where they have more things in common. For example, the Greek Cypriots had to rename the perfectly fine kebab into something called gyro, but written as gyro. But anyway, all kidding aside, the things on each side are actually olive branches representing peace. On the coat of arms, there's a white dove representing peace. The white dove also carries another olive branch in its mouth, symbolizing peace. Repeating peace 4 times on the logo doesn't necessarily mean the country is 4 times as peaceful. Instead, it makes me feel like the country is overcompensating for something. That being said, I'm sure the Cypriot people are extremely peaceful. After all, the island only had violent incidences in 1956, 1957, 1958, 1963, 1964, 1967, and 1974. Plus, around 20% of the island believe in the religion of peace. It must be peaceful as hell in Cyprus. Alright, enough chit-chat, let's get into the passport. First page, 3 languages on the passport: Greek, English, Turkish. The order of appearance is according to how important each language is. Since the majority of the population on Cyprus are ethnic Greeks, the Greek language of course comes first. The second largest group is supposed to be ethnic Turks, but since Britain occupied the island for a long time and English is the world language, it kinda makes sense to put English before Turkish. Another explanation is that Greek and Turkish don't want to be put next to each other, so English was there to act as a buffer, just like in the real world where the island was divided into 2 halves after the 1974 Turkish invasion. However, from the Turkish point of view, they were simply there to protect their fellow compatriots after Greek nationalists organized a military coup and attempted to make the country a part of Greece. Long story short, the Greek nationalists didn't succeed. The coup only provided Turkey an excuse to invade and occupy a chunk of the island. That's why, despite looking like this on the flag, the actual area controlled by the Republic of Cyprus looks like this. The UN established a buffer zone on the island that separates the Greek Cyprus and the Turkish Cyprus, just like English separating 2 languages on the passport. The passport statement on the left is only in English. The pattern looks very similar to the one on the Jamaican passport. It makes sense though, since they are both Commonwealth countries. Turning over to page 4 and 5, we can see that the passport is only valid for 1 year. Very strict, which is why the passport was extended twice. First time to 1971 on page 5 right here, and the second time to 1974 on page 9. I love how they just scratched out visas and wrote down renewal. The passport was used to go to only one country, which is Britain. Christella here was one of the many Cypriots who immigrated to the UK after the independence movement. You know, it's funny that the independence was supposed to bring forth a Cyprus better for the people, but the movement ended up driving people out. Ironic. As for the security feature, it's got microtext on every page, repeating the name of the country in Greek and Turkish. The watermark is quite unique. Usually it will show the name of the country and what it's famous for, such as the Jamaican pineapples, but here it shows the logo of a private company called De La Rue. Before you say my pronunciation is wrong, De La Rue is a British company specialized in making secure documents. That's why I pronounce it in the English way, not the French way. For a country that's famous for selling its citizenship though, you'd thought Cyprus had the ability to print its own passports, but obviously not back in the 60s. It's not surprising to see the Cyprus passport being made by a British company, it's just surprising to know that there's no customization on the watermarks. On page 31, there's an entry about foreign exchange that was supposed to be written on the foreign exchange page back here, but it's casually logged in the wrong place. Say what you want, but this tells you that the Cypriots are truly descendants of the Greeks, because they obviously inherited their work ethic from the Greeks. The very last page of the passport got some notes and regulations. There's no English translation, so my wild guess is that this part is the recipe for shish kebab, and this part is the recipe for souvlaki. Alright guys, that's it for the Cyprus passport. Remember to like and subscribe, more passport reviews are coming out. Peace.